for me and where we are with Noom, it's we don't want to pick winners and losers like the industry does. We just want to give everybody the same tools to play with. And this is the other thing. People didn't realize this. So like you're talking about IP, and if you did film, then you're familiar with other things like sync rights, right? And so what people don't realize, and this is the problem with RWAs and NFTs and the marriage of the two under the premise of visual art only, because what NFTs in the blockchain space to date, all people really know about them as far as ownership and digital ownership, they only equate it to visual art right now. They haven't put two and two together for music. And when people talk about IP for visual art, it's typically one license. It's one thing, right? Well, in music, it's not just one thing. It's like 6 or 7 different things. And it's all contingent upon the medium through which you consume the music. And that's the craziness of all this. So like you have masters, you have mechanicals, you have syncs, you have neighbors, you have terrestrial, you have streaming. Like I'm just spouting off some of these things, but it's and like if you listen to something on Pandora, that's different than if you listen to something on Spotify, because one, you can actually go and search for it, but Pandora, you can't go search for a specific song. It's a radio, right? You're not in charge of the listening order. There's a lot of different types of ways that music makes money, and that's the other nefarious thing on a lot of these contracts that musicians get wrapped up in, is you'll see people called 360 deals, to where basically it wraps you up in a perpetual contract that you'll never be able to pay back, and so now you have artists who people know, well-named artists that are broke as a joke, and it's not because their art didn't create value, it's that they just never saw any of it. Yeah, so that's the dark side of the creative process, and so many musicians just want to make music. Like that's the big thing. They just like, oh great, I got a check in the mail, cool. Right, and if they can ever make it to that point, to be like, okay, I'm good, I'm living, I can do what I want to do. Okay, to the studio I go. There's a lot of people that fall into that category, and so I'm not saying there's not a need necessarily for a label or for a manager or for PR and stuff like that, because we talk about the bad side of things, and there are terrible bad sides, but there's also purposes, because again, it's a business, right? For me and where we are with Noom, it's we don't want to pick winners and losers like the industry does. We just want to give everybody the same tools to play with, right? And everybody gets the same bucket and pail in the sandbox to build with whatever.
I like that.